Hello survivors, I'm GP back with the latest ARK news, and yes, I've been away on holiday for a little bit, so we are catching up, but what a catch up it is with ARK Survival Ascended's first ever creature vote. And boy does this one have some testing names. I don't know how you are all getting on with them, but there's a few tongue twisters in there. I have had to do a bit of research on them to try and get them right, and I've often used the good old David Attenborough's method. So these are the final 10 creatures for the exclusive Scorched Earth creature coming to the remastered game, and these are all in alphabetical order as I go through in this video, as I felt that's probably the fairest way of showing them without anyone claiming that I'm showing any favoritism of any kind. As most of you have probably already voted, as it's been open for a while and voting does end soon on May the 1st, I'm not going to go into massive details on these, but we will take a quick look. Starting with the Armadillo sucas, designed to be an oversized wrecking ball that has some similar mechanics to the roll rat and doid in that it can roll up into a ball to move around, but is capable of destroying structures and appears to be able to use its tongue to latch onto things. Now of course abilities and all of that are at wildcard's discretion, so really the voting at this stage is more based on the type of creature, but some abilities may be included. So what it looks like and whether it could be considered a unique creature, and of course if it fits in with a Scorched Earth environment, is what people are currently looking at when they're voting. Next up is the Bastion Beetle. Now I'm not going to really go into this one in too much detail because we've seen it before. We went through this creature in the previous vote when it was in the previous top 10, but yes, a Bastion Beetle is going to fit in well with the environment in Scorched Earth, that's what I believe. So for this one I believe it really does come down to whether people want more bugs in the game, considering we are getting the Rhiniognathor later this year. Next up is the Fasola sucas, designed to be a bone-crushing, armor-tearing creature from the Triassic period, potentially able to immobilize rock golems as if it was an organic bear trap. Originally being suggested as a creature to help find a solution to people building and clogging up servers with traps, as it could crush through stone structures, but the suggestion has since evolved into much more of a creature than just that. Next up is the giant moa, an extremely large prehistoric bird that could resemble the present day smaller emus or ostrich. Could you imagine if this one was able to bury its head into the sand on Scorched Earth? Of course that could be considered meshing, but who knows whether meshing will even be a thing in ARK Survival Ascended. Being able to be ridden with and without a saddle, and includes a platform saddle, meaning it could potentially be a speedier mobile base compared to the Parasa. It is also suggested that it could be an organic egg incubator and to include egg weight reduction abilities. Next up we have the Gigantophis. Some people call it the Gigantophis, but I'm going with David Attenborough on this, who says Gigantophis. Suggested to be a gigantic snake easily outgrowing the basilisk. With some of the main differences from the basilisk and even the much smaller Titanoboa, this creature would not simply attack its prey by biting them and slowly killing them with poison, but instead it would be a constrictor, meaning this gigantic snake would wrap itself around its prey, choking them to death and swallowing them whole. Possibly even introducing a new method for knocking creatures out instead of killing them. Next up is the Gigantoraptor. This creature is suggested to be slightly larger than an Allosaurus to give you some kind of scale for it, as the dossier in the suggestion isn't quite the true intended representation. Although an omnivore, this creature is a very protective creature when it comes to its eggs and younglings, and will not hesitate to have a rush of mother's fury when it detects a threat, allowing them to potentially grapple with threats far larger than themselves. Also suggested to be another nursery aid creature, joining other creatures such as the Maywing and Procoptodon. Next up is the Gorgonopsid, Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail with this one, as we did see it in the previous creature vote where it was referred to as a Gorgonopsid. But this creature will be very weather dependent, which could sit really well with Scorched Earth. The varying weather events on the map will amplify certain aspects of this creature's abilities, including health, speed and stamina. Next up is the Laduma Hardy, a fairly sizable prosauropod that generally walks on all fours but has the ability to rear up and stand on its back legs, giving it the ability to swipe at other creatures with its huge claws. Unlike any other creature in ARK, this one is suggested to have the ability to drop a unique type of hide that can be used in crafting recipes, specifically to create a new type of armor known as the Osteoderm armor. However, make sure to remember that the chances of wildcard adding new armor with the creature, I'd say, is pretty low to probably non-existent, so remember what you are actually voting for. Next up is the Maiva Eureka, the jumping spider. I would say no doubt the cutest of all the creatures that were submitted this time round, and by far the cutest out of the final 10. Most likely to get a lot of votes simply because of its look, especially as abilities are always down to wildcard discretion. But this creature is suggested to be able to cast nets, latch onto walls with speed and to be able to climb them, and with the ability to potentially scare off larger than expected creatures with its scary face. Although that's quite hard to imagine at this stage whilst looking at this furry fella. And finally, the Maiva Macrothorax, described to be an endgame Megaraptor that can serve as a unique debuffer, being able to cripple creatures using a special slash attack that will instantly drain a creature's stamina, and when it comes to flyers, this would force them to instantly land, allowing you the time to tame or kill the flyer before it regains stamina. So those are the final 10 creatures. Voting is currently open for these until May the 1st. You can find the links to the voting page and the community crunch page that contains all of the details for these creatures in the description of this video. So make sure to get your votes in. You have to place them in order of your most preferred creature down to your least preferred. The winner will be announced in the community crunch on May the 5th. And also covered right here on my channel. If you don't want to miss out on all the latest ARK news, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.